the stories of Brisco and Bradshaw. I would be Bradshaw, and that would be your Chickasaw native, your Chickasaw Hall of Famer, Oklahoma's favorite son, Mr. Gerald Brisco. And I don't know if we got Sam or not Sam, but he only has his own podcast, and he's also in a great lineage of terrific athletes from Syracuse. Greatest athletes ever. Jim Brown, Mike Rotundo, and of course the man who's undefeated at WrestleMania, Michael Cole, the greatest athlete of all of them.
Wow.
But he is Mr. Sam Roberts. Or not Sam. We're not sure, but he's Sam or not Sam. Sam, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. It's a great honor. And the only thing I don't know when continuing on that lineage is I don't know if I could fill out that Syracuse orange singlet the way Michael Cole did.
I got so hot at Cole when he put that orange singlet on, because the Oklahoma State wrestling team is orange and black, right? In Oklahoma State. Michael Cole in an orange singlet. I just no, man, please don't.
Oh my God! And Lawler to this day gets mad when he say, Cole is undefeated at WrestleMania, and Lawler will tell you, no matter, even though he knows you're joking, I beat him in that. That was overturned.
That was overturned.
Overturned. Yeah.
Whatever. And
okay.
Cole is just slightly better than Jim Brown on the level of.
On their list of Hall of Fame members, Cole's right there with them, right? I mean,
that's exactly right.
Hey, wasn't Brian Gewert an Orangeman too?
Oh, I think he was. Yes, I think Brian was. Gewertz was a Hall.
Yes, he was. Absolutely, he was.
That's what I thought.
You guys You guys have got the worst building in the history of the world, the Syracuse War Memorial.
Oh, that's a bad one.
You guys have got a great legacy at the college.
Yes. No, the college is great. I think, I don't know, you must have interacted with Adam Panucci in your times at WWE.
Oh, Adam,
yes. Yeah. He's a Syracuse guy as well.
Yeah, right.
All the Syracuse guys, we all spot each other out. We all stick together. I mean, the winners are bad. The winners are really bad up there.
Yeah, they are.
And your wrestling arena sucks.
And the wrestling arena does.
Syracuse War Memorial has been the worst building in the history of buildings since it was built.
I think Rochester is right
Rochester
there.
Rochester and the Freeman down in San Antonio.
And the old igloo, the Freeman. The Freeman stunk like a cow.
Oh, my God. You drive around back where the cows all were, and the fucking barnyard animals. God almighty. Horrible. That and the freaking cow palace.
The cow, yeah. I think I probably saw you wrestle at the War Memorial because I definitely went to a house show there maybe in '03. And I'm sure because I know that Eddie was on the show for sure.
So I was probably there. Thanks for remembering me. Thanks.
Well, no.
Definitely remember.
Yeah, he remembers all the opening matches. He remembers Eddie.
Plus others. Yeah.
Plus others. There was plus 3 others, and I know
more.
I know you were probably one of them.
Yeah, there was and more there. No, I do remember specifically my favorite JBL live event moment was in White Plains, which is closer to where I live, which was. You must have been on the holiday tour, so you would have run the Garden at some point, and then you go to White Plains, and you came out. It was probably the 27th of December, and you came out in the height of your cowboy hat and your towel and everything, and cut a promo on everybody. The worst he was. Everybody booed, and you said something to the effect of, "You could boo all you want, and kids, if you think I'm bad, just look at your parents." Because Santa Claus ain't real. And I'm going, oh my, because it's White Plains. The whole place is families.
Way to go, John. Tell the kids there's no Santa.
Well, somebody's got to smarten them up.
Yeah.
I think Arnie still gets paid off White Plains.
Yeah.
White Plains was the best rib ever. We had that curtain there on the stage.
Yeah,
the guys would dress behind the curtain, and then the crowd was out there because it was a theater. Well, you had like little holes poked in the curtain, so all the guys would kind of look and watch the matches. So all the guys were sitting there watching the matches. One day, the entire roster had a pay-per-view coming up in a couple days. Owen Hart grabs the curtain and pulls the whole thing back. And there's Brett standing by Taker, who are working in 2 days at the pay-per-view. There's all these guys just standing there. I mean, it's like we're buck naked. It's like just like, oh my God. Yeah.
That's great.
So Sam, take us back a little bit. I mean, you've always been known to be one of those super fans here, in the business, and I think that's the reason you've been so successful because you were a fan that really appreciated the history of our business. How did you get hooked on wrestling? What was your first match, and your televised match, and then your first live event?
I mean, so I'm one of those guys that's been, I don't remember when I started watching because I was always watching. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Well, yeah.
Sometime when I was very young, I started watching and just always watched. But those first right around 1990 is probably when those first memories start to build where I'm locked in to the stories and I've got my favorites now and it's all WWF at the time. And so probably end of 90, beginning of 90. No, beginning of 90 because I remember that Royal Rumble and getting into WrestleMania 6, heading into WrestleMania 7, right around then is when I was 6 or 7 years old. So that's when I'm locked in. And I mean, no turning back. By 91, I'm buying every magazine that I can find. I'm getting yelled at by my parents because, when you're a kid, the homework is just you got to go read something for 20 minutes. And every single time my parents would come up and they'd find me just reading wrestling magazines. And I'm doing my homework. And the first live show that I went to, we were living in England from my family from 1988, 89 until the very end of 1992. So 88 to 92. And I mean, by the time 92 hit, I was obsessed. It was the only thing that I cared about. And WWE was bringing SummerSlam to Wembley Stadium. And
now, did you guys get a lot of TV at that time in England too?
So we did because we had Sky, which was their version of cable.
Right.
So we got Superstars of Wrestling, Wrestling Challenge. Not every show, but we got all most of the WWF stuff. I was watching, and SummerSlam was coming to Wembley Stadium, and my parents told me later that they had a real sit-down conversation because they said, "Look, this kid loves wrestling, but if we take him to the show and we get tickets and they're decent tickets, I don't know. He's gonna see they're not really hitting each other. He's gonna see that he's gonna find out the whole thing's phony, and he's gonna not watch it anymore. We're gonna take this thing away from him that he loves so much."
You got good parents that can break it down like that.
Yeah, that's what they didn't want to spoil it. Parents. Yeah. And so, but they were like, well, we got to do it anyway. And so my dad came home a week before the show, maybe a few days before the show. And he was like, look what we got. And he had SummerSlam tickets. And I was freaking out. And I mean, I had never been I wasn't, as a kid, I wasn't into sports. I was into wrestling. And I think that it had never occurred to me, is it real? Is it fake? Are they hitting each other? And not none of it ever, I never thought about any of it. It didn't occur to me one way or the other. So, I mean,
your friends, and were they critical of it or what?
I had my wrestling group.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Your friends that are your wrestling friends.
Yeah.
And then the other kids that didn't get it, but inevitably, because it's what I'm spending all my time doing, the friends that didn't get it just kind of floated out of my life, Yeah, because
did you care? Did you care if it was real or not?
Not even slightly. It didn't even occur to me to care. I didn't know. It didn't even occur to me.
You just enjoyed it.
That's it. It was always.
Was it the storylines, the character, or a combination of everything?
It was the storylines. It was the characters. It was the escapism. It was just this idea that this whole universe was built where, you're sitting there and you can invest all your emotions in it. I mean, I was a little kid crying because the earthquake crushed Jake Roberts' snake. I mean, in tears. And I look back now, I'm crying. I'm like, Damien's dead. Damien is dead. And my parents didn't
realize it was a snake.
Well, I mean,
I mean, it's not like it's like a kitten or something, like a little puppy. It's a snake.
I mean, maybe I'm an animal lover,
Yeah, obviously.
but it was a baby face snake. That was the difference.
Okay,
Yeah.
fair enough.
You know?
Now, you just said were you a heel or babyface fan or both?
No, I wasn't. I wasn't one of those cool kids that likes the heels. I always liked the baby faces. You know, Hogan was the gateway drug, and then it was all Macho Man all day. And I mean,
yeah.
you know, and then it was Brett and Sean and Diesel, just whoever was the good guy, whoever was the top good guy. That was my guy.
Now, was there any other wrestling that you watched?
I started to that was all I knew. And then once I started finding the magazines is when it really started to open the door to the fact that there's not only all this other stuff, but also there'd been all this stuff before. Like I remember it was probably like 1993. We were back in the States and there's the old picture book. I think it's called This Is Wrestling. And it's like all the territory pictures and stuff. And I saw this picture of the Bushwhackers, but they weren't the Bushwhackers. They were all bloody and they were these absolute brutal animals. And I was like, what? Luke and I mean, these are the guys that lick everybody. Like what? And then you start to realize, oh, there was a life before the Bushwhackers. Then I start reading about the sheep herders. And then I start reading about the whole promotion that's going on over there. And then Puerto Rico over here where they're doing this stuff. And then as the years go on and you start to tape trade and find out about what's going on in Japan and start to find all the tapes from the territories that were happening, when you didn't even realize that any of it was happening. So, I think so it was finding the magazines and it was also realizing WCW was a thing was a big deal because that really was the first time that I realized there was other wrestling. So you come across it on television or whatever, you just see WCW because you didn't have the internet, you didn't have YouTube, you didn't have any of it. So just somehow WCW comes across your radar and you're like, there's another wrestling group. And now and every little breadcrumb opened the world more and more and more. And you realize and I'm sure it frustrated my parents because as obsessed as I was, the further you get, the more obsessed you get. Because the world keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
Now, did you follow any wrestling in England when you were there?
No, I didn't.
U.S. wrestling,
local wrestling,
like Big Daddy and all those guys.
Yeah,
I didn't really know any of it. I don't think that the scene was very big, at least in the area that I was in that 1989, 1990, 1991 era. Because it wasn't on my radar whatsoever. I found out about it later, and I kind of wish that I'd been more invested in it. But no, I didn't know any of it.
Yeah, because
I'm gonna put you. Go ahead, Don.
So I was just saying because they had really fallen off after the early '80s, really.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I don't even know if they had TV. I don't even know if they had much TV at that time during the '90s either.
They did, so. Yeah. They had TV, but they don't know if they had TV at that time. They had TV that was really big, in the '70s and '80s.
That's when St. Clair. But the '90s, the late '90s there.
Yeah, that's when St. Clair.
I'm gonna put you on the spot here, Sam. When WCW and Eric Bischoff's famous 83 weeks, did you kind of waffle over to WCW to see what was going on, or did your fandom stay with WWF?
Well, I was a big time channel flipper. I mean, it was you were earning views at that point.
Okay,
I was always a WWE loyalist. People call me a shill now. I'm like, I've been a shill since I was 10 years old.
You're consistent.
Yeah, that's it. It's just ingrained. So I was always an overall loyalist. And even at the beginning of Nitro, I was like, oh, these guys, I didn't want to admit how good the cruiserweight stuff was and how there was some revolutionary stuff going on.
And it was good, man.
Yes, it was.
Really good. It was really good. I think, I also started getting into ECW in 1995. I found it and was getting super into ECW. So when Sabu started popping up on Nitro, that got my attention. But the NWO storyline. I mean, it was for like probably the first year. It was until the Austin stuff really started to take off. The NWO stuff was, I mean, it was the best. It was the best thing in wrestling.
It was.
What was it? Was it Austin or was it Austin Tyson that got you? Did Tyson have any influence on that?
Tyson did for sure, because the Tyson thing made it go, okay, this isn't just, I think the Tyson segment made it so this isn't just potential. Like, I was already kind of locked into the whole Austin scene even before Tyson. Like, you could just feel something's happening over here, because I was also like a massive Mankind guy. I had always been a big Undertaker guy. Like, you could see Shawn Michaels started to develop more of an edge. Like, all this was happening. So, and I mean, like, I've been watching the whole time. Like, probably the most embarrassing photo that exists is, and it's probably more embarrassing for my father than it is for me, but in 1996, my father took me to Madison Square Garden for Survivor Series, and I was dressed from head to toe as Goldust with a robe and everything.
No. And they got you on camera?
Well, there's photos of me. I wasn't on television.
Okay.
But I mean, head
And
to
your
toe,
father let you do that?
Oh, you should. My father's face when he goes to one of the ticket takers or whatever, and he goes, oh, could you just tell us where we are? And the guy points us in the direction, and my dad goes, oh, thanks. And he goes, you and your daughter have a good time.
Oh,
wow. Tremendous. Now, how old were you at the time?
In 96, I was probably like 12.
Right.
Just I was a little probably about 12. But I mean, feathers.
But now, is this not a divergence because you were normally a babyface fan?
So I started, maybe Goldust was probably the first heel that I liked. I think that was the divergence. And it was probably right around the right time, because that's when I'm starting to get to be a teenager. The wholesome stuff isn't really clicking anymore. Yeah, Goldust and Mankind were probably the first heels that I was into. But
now,
it was
when
tough.
the man said you and your daughter have a good time, did you like turn to your dad and go, Dad, sorry about that. I just like the guy. I'm not really trying to embarrass you.
No, the first instinct was embarrassment on my part. But then, even then, I just thought about it for a second and started laughing at how embarrassed my dad had to be.
Oh, man.
Your parents were good people. Are they both still alive?
Yeah, no, very good people. They're still, they're watching all this now. In disbelief of how did you, it worked. You know what I mean? Like it worked. How did you figure it out?
Did your parents ever pull you aside and have that talk? Hey, listen, you're probably going to not make a lot of money being a fan of wrestling. Maybe you should do something else.
I mean, there were so many talks. Like, it was, and they must have been exhausted with
They dressed like Goldust, man. They better have talks with him.
Yeah. Me and Mr. Brisco want to talk
to you. It was like, and they would try to be nice. You could try to make some new friends, trying to get me in with a different friend group, or you concentrate a lot on this wrestling stuff. If you just concentrated a little more over here, maybe you could move it into something slightly constructive to your life at all. And
were you at least a good student in school?
No, I was as middle of the road as you could possibly get.
It was just
me and Mr.
average white boy.
That's right. Brisco aren't throwing stones at anybody not being a good student.
Yeah, no, we're not. Took John 6 years to get out of high school.
Good 6 years though. Fun.
He had a good time.
It was a Texas high school anyway.
So, Sam, as you get into high school and start to go to college, and at this point, all you want to do you just want to be in wrestling? Is that what you wanted to do? Did you have any idea what you wanted to do?
No, because you come to the realization, if you're a person with a brain and you look in the mirror and you see Sam Roberts looking back at you, you come to the realization early enough that you're not going to be an athlete. You're not going to be a wrestler. Like that's not going to work. So there was this like, even as a kid going like, oh, maybe I could be like a commentator and started mimicking, like Vince and Macho Man and all that stuff. But even like I had no sort of media connections at all. Like the idea of how somebody would even do that was totally foreign to me. So I mean, like I would start little businesses like selling like bootleg wrestling VHS tapes and stuff on the internet.
Really? Wow.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And doing stuff like that.
Now, how did you do that? Explain how you did that. Because what year was this?
It's what now it's like 98, 99 probably.
So there's no YouTube, no internet that you
Right.
can put your name out on. So you're just doing it by correspondence, by mail, or what?
Well, you could start like AOL was starting, so you could put like websites together where you had your list of tapes that you had, right? And kind of send them along and get on these like kind of like wrestling like newsletter email lists that you would get your links out to, or find message boards that you could post your stuff to. And yeah, I mean, it was literally just,
So you're the blame for Melcher being so big. You kept subscribing to him earlier. You kept giving him funds to grow.
So how did you make the bootleg tapes?
So I literally I went to Kmart, and it was probably the first time my dad showed real interest because it was entrepreneurial and he liked that.
Even though it's illegal.
Even though it was illegal, he didn't care.
But hey, at least my son's trying to make money, and he's not dressed as gold dust anymore.
Yeah,
exactly right.
He's not in the mafia.
Yes, right. Yes. So I mean, it would literally like I went to like the Kmart and bought a second VCR, and then you would get the plugs.
Oh yeah, I remember how to bootleg the tapes. I just didn't know how you did it.
Yeah, so you plug the tapes into each other, and then I already had this like I taped everything on like blank VHS tapes. So it just became making copies of stuff, and then you'd reach out to other people that had stuff. You'd trade with them so that my library would grow. Like if somebody had like, I remember like finding a guy that had all the episodes of World Class TV. So I was like, okay, I need everything. Like, what can I send you? And I would go to and buy like packs of 10 VHS tapes at a time, and just be constantly having this room in the house with a TV connected to 2 VCRs and just running wrestling dupes constantly, either trading or selling.
How much?
Neither one of us are IRS agents. So did you make money? And like John said, how much were they going for?
Well, I made like money like for a kid, like for like a high school kid. It's not something.
Did you make your expenses?
I think so. Yeah. Because the blank tapes, you could get them on sale for like $1, and then I would sell them for like $10.
Oh wow!
You know what I mean? So like so the margins were good.
Yeah.
And so yeah, so I definitely covered the expenses, but the way I justify it even now, if you go back and look, what do you think I spent all the money on? It was wrestling stuff.
Yeah.
So everybody that was getting robbed with these bootlegs was getting all the money back anyway.
Yeah.
So what were the best selling tapes? What area? What territory?
Yeah.
What were the best selling tapes?
So there were 3 things that I got into and started building a collection on, and started like seeing like it was trying to find really great copies of like World Class Championship Wrestling, because I really liked it, and also I wanted to have that library
from the mid '80s when the Von Erichs were there.
That's right. Yes. And then the shoot interviews, before there were podcasts or anything, just and I couldn't even, when I heard these were happening, I couldn't even wrap my head around it. I'm like, it's a 4-hour tape, but it's just a guy sitting with a camcorder on him for 4 hours, just talking shit about people. And
I can do this.
Yeah, and so I started collecting all those shoot interviews too, and then Japanese deathmatch stuff. I never had much of a collection of like the really good all Japan like wrestling, but I got at that age super into the Japanese deathmatch stuff.
So who were the best shoot interviews back then?
Well, like New Jack was the best shoot interviews were probably all lies. You know what I mean? Like,
well, yeah, of course they are. They're the boys.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So New Jack was
Hey,
always good for one.
we've interviewed probably 400 different of the boys. We understand that very well, and we're not sure everybody lies. We just think people misremember. And I'm
Yes.
serious. I just think I can tell you how many times I've been places and I'm sitting there listening to it going, I was there. That didn't happen. That did not happen. But so what?
Well, you create the legend and then you just own the legend, right? You just
Right.
you
Now,
tell
were
it
there
enough.
any old shoot interviews that you found, like the guys from the 60s or 70s or
No,
were doing
no.
it in the 90s?
It was all, ECW guys. It was all like Steve Carino did one that I loved because he lied throughout the whole thing on purpose. Like he created this fictional character. And I'm like, these guys are getting whatever they're getting, $1,500 or whatever they're paying them for their time to sit down. And Steve Carino just makes up and the whole thing. It's not like he was doing a bit in the beginning.
We've actually got an idea for a segment on one of our shows to have a guy do that. Exactly. Lie about everything, about how he won the Royal Rumble, how he won the championship, how he beat Thaz, all just we've actually pitched this idea many times. We may do it one day.
I think you got to. You've got to.
Yes.
Because I mean the best part
100%.
will be the people who will go like, oh no, like that'll be their history. They'll go, no, he won the Royal Rumble. He won he got the Mania
Exactly.
that year. Yeah.
Exactly. But you could lie easier back then.
Oh yeah.
You couldn't verify stuff.
No, it would just be me going to school and going to my friends and saying, oh, so and so won the Royal Rumble in 1983. Not knowing there was no Royal Rumble in 1983.
Right.
Like they didn't have it.
Right. It's
Now,
like everybody beat Johnny Rods in some tournament down in Brazil.
That's right.
Brazil, Rio, yeah.
Rio de Janeiro.
Rio, yeah. I said that one time on air, and Vince goes, "Where'd you find that?" I go, "You're the one that made it up."
Yeah.
It's your lie.
Yeah.
Out of all the tapes you made, Sam or not Sam, whichever one you are, what was your best seller? Do you remember what your best seller was?
Yeah, there was a short period of time where you were able to get copies of Mick Foley's home video that he made when he was Dude Love, like when he was like before he was a wrestler. Like I think his friend.
I've seen that.
Right. So after the JR interview, I think his friend started selling copies of it. So I got one, and then that became like, oh, you have a copy of because that was the other thing. Even if they were for sale, if somebody else hadn't found the website, they'd go, well, how'd you get this? I go, oh no, I know a guy. I know a guy. I can make a copy of it. I know a guy.
Well, now Sam how did you come up with? Are you Sam or not Sam?
Well, so I mean, the not Sam thing is so dumb because like this, it's such a people think there must be some kind of there's something behind it. But it was when I was in Syracuse and I started doing college radio and people sort of.
Was this when you're on the wrestling team with Michael Cole?
That's right. Michael Cole and I. It was all.
Please don't say that. Please don't say that.
Michael Cole and I had just.
No wonder they dropped wrestling in Syracuse.
That's right. They'd hung up our singlets.
Yeah. They reached hard above up in the rafters there.
Carrier Dome. In the Carrier Dome. That's right. But I was there and I was doing college radio and I was kind of figuring out like, okay, making content and podcasts were in their infancy and online video was in its infancy and just all that stuff. So, I was trying to figure out like, okay, I need a sort of hub where I can put content, where I can do radio bits, where I can like write, where I can. And so I was like, oh, why don't I just get sam.com? That sounds good. Sam.com. And it was taken. And I was like, huh. And like samroberts.com had also been taken. And I was like, well, if sam.com is taken, and then I just wrote notsam.com and it was available. And I just said not Sam. Like as I was saying it to myself, it just sounds good. Not Sam it kind of rolls off the tongue. It's just a easy thing to say. So I was like, all right, well, that's it. Notsam.com. And then I started registering Not Sam on everything. And now, I mean, Mr. Brisco and JBL are asking about Not Sam. It kind of
It's very intriguing. Have you ever watched The Blacklist?
Yeah.
So you need to be a little more like Raymond Reddington here. You need to like, how'd you come up with not Sam? Well, I was in the jungles of Papua New Guinea,
Yeah.
and just all of a sudden, and right in the middle of everybody's got guns pointing at you. Tell this story for like 15 minutes. It's somehow's got a point to it. And you're like, this is good shit. So
Yeah.
you just need to like come up with some Raymond Reddington story here.
I will. That's great, and change it a little bit every single time I tell it, so people go, "What?"
That's right. Like Heath Ledger and the Joker. Like you tell a story about how you got your mouth cut. And every time it's a little different. Everybody's like, "Huh? Wait a minute."
Did he just?
Matter.
It doesn't matter. Yeah, it doesn't
Just
matter.
pay
I don't know.
attention.
Yeah. No,
You
you're
get
100
hot
percent
when
right.
people like challenge you on it.
Right. I told you.
I just told you. I just told you.
Yeah. If you don't want to know the answer, don't ask the question.
Fine. I'll go somewhere else. You don't talk to me. Dick. So, Sam, during this time, what was your favorite territory? Did you have many territories? I know you had WCCW. Did you have other territories around that you were bootlegging?
They were all gone at that time, weren't they? Or what?
They were, but when I was finding the tapes, it was fun, like finding, like little, the more you found different territories, the more you realized that like what I was watching now, like territories had specialized in little things, and it seemed like sort of global wrestling had taken the best of every territory, not just the guys, but like the philosophies, the booking philosophies, the presentation, like everything. Like first it was world class because I was like, well, this production value was so far ahead of its time, and the way they presented stars was so far ahead of its time. But then when you start to look at Crockett, you go like, oh, now I'm getting where like these match styles come from, and this like good in-ring wrestling comes from here. And then finding like Portland stuff where it's just bizarre, and you're realizing like, yeah, all this weird stuff kind of comes out of Portland and a little bit out of Florida and stuff like that. So that was really what I started to enjoy, like to find the different chunks of philosophy that were all taken, and psychology that was all taken to put into this bigger scale. And also, seeing these guys that I had seen in WWE and like being able to trace that lineage of where they had come from and how they had kind of developed what they were doing.
Did anything really stick out to you during that time? Like you're watching your territories from the 70s and 80s, probably mostly 80s.
Mhm.
They had the TV and the tapes and stuff. Did anything really stick out for you? Like commentators, wrestlers, storylines, anything stick out to you?
Yeah, it started with like sort of, okay, this is where like the Von Erichs, like, oh, this is where Texas Tornado came from. And but then I started to go like, man, like Iceman King Parsons was the man. He was so over. And then I never heard about him outside of world class. Like what happened? And even like Chris Adams, I was like, I remember when like Chris Adams was in WCW for like a cup of coffee doing this or that, but I had no idea that he was this massive star over here in Texas. Or even like, Doink in that first year when Matt Bourne was Doink is literally to this day one of my favorite wrestling characters of all time. I just think it's brilliant. I think it's one of my 1993 Doink is one of my favorite wrestlers ever.
Yeah,
right?
people look at the Doink in later iterations.
Right.
Matt Bourne as Doink that guy was
Bourne,
different, man. That was different level.
Yeah, incredible. And then you go back and you're like, not only did he have this ability to make this character work, but then you start watching the matches that he was actually having with like Brett and Perfect and even like Marty Jannetty, and like they're great. The matches are great, and what he's doing in the ring is awesome. And I'm like, in 93, I'm like, I don't know. He was Big Josh before. Who cared about Big Josh? I don't understand. And then going back and finding like the real like Maniac Matt Bourne stuff and digging all that stuff up. That's the stuff that I really loved.
So what were you majoring in Syracuse besides bootlegging tapes?
Yeah.
So I started in Syracuse majoring in film and like filmmaking, but then and I was going to stay for 5 years because I had entered the major late. So first year I was undeclared. Second year I kind of figured it out, but I had to kind of go back to square one to get everything in that I needed to get in. But then after my third year, I got an internship at XM Radio with Opie and Anthony. And I said, like, this is working. Like, there's something clicking about this. And it seemed like there was real opportunity there because it was a young company. It was that iteration of the show was young. And I was like, I don't want to go back to Syracuse. I figured if I could hang around here, that I could get something done. And I was like, well, yeah, but I can't. I'm not going to put 3 years in and then not get the degree. So that summer, I was like, well, I'm not doing 2 more years in Syracuse. I'll do 1 more year somehow. And me and my girlfriend at the time, who's now my wife, start going through the course catalog and going like, well, what credits do I have? And what can I switch into now that I can build a major and get out in a year so I can get into, real life? And we realized sociology. I had taken enough sociology classes, so I dropped all my classes, started picking up all sociology classes, didn't talk to the, counselors or anything at all because they would have told me not to do it. But just, jumped into every sociology class I could so I could wrap up a degree in sociology that year and then, get out of Dodge and start working.
That's how most of us look at college.
Yeah,
Most of us normal people.
The first
What's
year,
the quickest way I can get out of this son of a bitch?
Yeah.
Get me a degree.
Yeah.
I don't care what the degree's in. I'm not going to use it anyway.
Right. I think I know what I'm going to do. So let me get the piece of paper that says I can go.
Okay.
And I did it.
You think you know what you're going to do. You think it's radio for me at the time, right? So that was your goal.
Yeah, and by the way, like, I don't know what a degree in hosting a radio show would get you, but I was doing.
Oh, look at Michael Cole. He got that degree.
That's right. That's right.
That's true. But I was doing a ton of college radio. Like, I was at the college radio station all the time, so I was getting reps and stuff in, and I felt like that. I mean, and to this day, I mean, that's the best thing that you can do. It's like, to me, probably the most valuable thing of the whole of the Syracuse experience was the opportunity to get all those reps in at the radio station.
Yeah, I did an hour radio show a week, on for Talk Radio Network for a long time, and I always thought that was one of the best things I ever did.
Yeah,
you talked about so many different topics. You had in long form radio, you learn how to talk.
Yes.
If you ever like in a debate with somebody on a show and all they've ever done is television, they're really not very, you're not very fearful of that person.
That's right.
In case it gets contentious, because I can out talk this guy. People that have done long form radio, you're a little more fearful of because those guys can get out of anything and they can talk.
Right. And they're the ones that'll get your attention. They know how to get your attention, even if they're thinking about what they're going to say. They know how to get your attention as they're thinking about it. And before you know it, they've locked you in for 6 minutes and there's no getting out of it. Yeah,
that's right.
During this time, Sam, was there any thought that, you're going to get into wrestling somehow in some form of it? And I guess when you got in with Opie there, because he was a huge wrestling fan, that was kind of a gateway, right?
Well, yeah. So like, I didn't know. I was like, well, I want to get into broadcasting was the thing. And I was like, and I think that this is a road to go down and this is working. So let me keep following this road. And yeah. And Opie and Anthony kept up with wrestling, but very quickly, like they got such a kick out of the fact that I followed this religiously that I would come on and be the wrestling fan that they would goof on. And one of the first things that I did where I was getting on the air every day, where it was like, this is Sam, he's becoming a real character, is when Vince McMahon blew up in the limousine.
Yeah.
I came and I refused to break. I came into work and right before they went on the air, I go, guys, I got terrible news. And they go, what happened? And I go, Mr. McMahon, his limousine blew up last night. And they go, what? And at the time, WWE.com would like post these ridiculous updates from these made up investigative committees were looking into it. So every day, whatever WWE posted, I would go on the air and go, I think it was because they didn't, you didn't want to get in trouble. You couldn't say the FBI is investigating if the FBI is not investigating. So I believe what the website said was the Federal Investigative Council is investigating. So I went on the air and I was like, no, this is legit. The Federal Investigative Council is looking into it. And Anthony looked at me and he goes, the FIC. I go, that's yeah, exactly.
There may or may not be. There may or may not
not
be a major politician to this day that called to see if Vince really blew up.
That's why
Yeah,
you and
you're
Donald Trump were what about that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it was a great. I mean, it was a great ruse. It fooled a lot of us.
Yes, it did. Just the timing was bad. Obviously,
horrible.
Of course,
I don't know where
yeah.
they're going to go with it. I'd love to talk to Jerry. You were know what they're going to do with it after that?
It was going to be a kind of a voice from the heavens come down and dictate what they were going to do. He was going to possess somebody, I believe.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
But then he did the McMahon. He was hell bent on killing himself on the air.
Yeah,
So he did the McMahon's Millions, where the whole payoff was everything falls down on him and crushes him.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Unfortunate when we didn't do it because of the circumstances, but the scene of the Raw where we were rehearsing, we were going to carry Vince's casket out to the ring.
Oh my God!
Really?
Were you? No way.
And Pat and I were going to drop it on the handoff getting into the ring. We were going to drop it. Vince was going to roll out of it at a medical time.
You're kidding.
But that was the blow off on it. Where we were going to bring the casket out that night and open it up to Vince to set up in.
And you guys are going to drop. He's going to roll out of
You guys are going to drop the casket.
And Pat and I were going to drop it before we got to the ring.
And Vince was going to roll out.
Yeah, Vince was going to roll out.
And that was the conclusion.
That was the conclusion.
That's horrible.
It's
I
terrible.
know it, but that was our
Terrible.
TV at the time. That was our TV at the time too.
God. It's better the way it played out.
Yeah. Well, it was for some people. Yeah.
Oh my God, that I was always wanting to know the creative. Now I'm like, that's the worst creative I've ever heard in my life. Of course, Vince did beat God one time too.
Oh yeah, I mean,
He hooked his leg and everything.
well, I mean, listen. When you do that Triple H water spit with holy water, you got one on the big guy. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Oh my goodness. I've got a picture I can't show you because anyway. Yeah, yes. Mr. Brisco knows. Tremendous. So Opie and Anthony, those guys were awesome.
Yeah. They gave me, first of all, they were awesome. I mean, I remember like we would have wrestlers in and they knew how much I loved it. Like you came in one time and you had a hat for me because somebody had tipped you off that it was my birthday. So you brought in one of your old cowboy hats for me. And I'll never forget. I always felt bad because I was like, oh, he must think I'm so rude. Because Opie goes, hey, can I see that cowboy hat? And I remember snatching it away from you because I knew the minute he saw that hat, it was gone. There's no way. It was getting destroyed. But I remember MVP did the show. And this is when he was like the US champion and everything. And, he was a great story of somebody who had become very successful after spending time in jail and everything. And so they wrote questions and they were like, Sam, you need to ask these questions. And they wouldn't let me look at them before. And I was like, okay, yeah, I'm just happy to be there. And so he's an intimidating guy. And he's like, well, yeah, what do you have to ask me? And I looked down at the paper and went, oh no. And I said, MVP, what's better, being a wrestler or being in jail?
Oh, God.
And he just looks at me. And I'm just looking at him. And thank God he has a good sense of humor.
Tremendous.
But
When
it was
Colin Joustin and Michael Che do that, it's just the funniest thing.
Oh, it's the best. It's the best.
Yeah, it's just, yeah. And the way they hate to read them, it's like, this is awesome.
Yeah, because you had that moment when like they read, the 1 second before they have to say it, when they read it and they go, this,
Yeah, like
this
oh
week.
no, no,
Yeah.
no. Like you got me. You really got me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you're working with not you're working with Opie and Anthony and
Yeah.
Jim Norton, who I love also. What a good dude.
The best.
And
The best.
then he had a little fallout with Jesse Ventura that one time, right?
Woo! Yes, he did.
Were you there?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, I was there. Yeah, when Jesse came in, and I don't even there was just a tension and hostility that started. I think the disagreement started on I mean maybe one of Jesse's like conspiracy theories or just something that Jim didn't agree with. And Jim has this way of when he disagrees, like Jim likes to argue and not like and if you're not used to it, you think he's mad. He's not. That's just how he argues. But but he won't. He's not a meek person. He's not going to stand down to anybody. And Jesse, we all know, is Jesse. So over the course
Good way
of
to put it.
yeah. So
That
over the
covered
course,
over a lot.
yeah. So over the course of this conversation, it just gets more and more tense to the point where like Jesse feels disrespected, and then Jim feels disrespected because Jesse's like talking down to him and kind of doing the jock thing. Like that energy is there, and Jim doesn't respond well to that energy. So I think on the way out, like Jesse was over it. And on the way out, he said, thank you for your service, very sarcastically, and tapped Jim on the shoulder. And Jesse had his long hair, Jesse was bald on top, but had his long hair coming out of his hat. And Jim said, yeah, well, thank you for not touching me and for your riffraff from Rocky Horror hairdo. And,
Wow.
and I mean, and it was like, oh my, I swear, if Jesse had not realized he was in the middle of a media appearance, he absolutely would have hit him. Absolutely. And Jim knew, and he did not care.
Tremendous.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just fun. Like when things fall apart and you're witnessing it, it's kind of like Taker when he's like watching Vader just slap the reporter around and he doesn't move. He's just sitting there. I just want to be in his head like, all right, this is some stupidest shit I've ever seen in my life. This is really, really bad. Really bad. Really bad. Don't move. Don't move a muscle. Just watch it.
Yeah. Like this is real right now. What's happening? It's happened. Well, that happened. Like, yeah, we're here now.
So when did you start figuring out that you're going to do something in wrestling?
So so Joe Villa used to work in the publicity department.
Good guy.
Yeah. Love Joe. And he used to bring the guys up and everything. And there was one day when he goes, hey, Sam, are you coming to the WrestleMania press conference? It was probably one of the Hard Rock press conferences or whatever. And I go, and I mean, I'm such like, just, I mean, I'm a kid still, and I'm just a fan. And so I go, oh yeah, it's not open to the public. And he goes, no, I know, but and I go, yeah, so I can't, I can't get in. And he was like, no, it's open for the media. And I was like, yeah, I know. So and he goes, Sam,
you're media.
You're the media. You work for the show. Like you would come with your show. And I went, I can go to the press conferences? He's like, Sam, you're the press. Of course. Yeah, that's what they're for. Of course you can come to the press conferences. And I go, oh man. And so immediately I'm like, yeah, I'm going to go to this press conference. So I started going to the press conferences. And at first it was like going with the idea of, let me collect audio that maybe Opie and Anthony would want to play. But that was the only audio that Opie and Anthony would want to play from me interviewing wrestlers would be if I was making fun of the wrestlers. And I'm never going to do that. Like I didn't have it in me. And so, there'd be, I would just try to get interesting sound bites or whatever. Maybe they'll be into this. Maybe they'll be into that. But then as YouTube started kind of popping off, I was like, well, maybe I'll try to get a soundbite or two for Opie and Anthony. But at the same time, what if I just, did a wrestling interview and then I'll just put it on YouTube, and there wasn't a lot of it then. There wasn't like this, it wasn't really happening. And so that was the beginning of then of seeing I would get a really large response from wrestling fans that were just getting to see these wrestling interviews that I was doing on YouTube. And so I started going to everything that I could where I could just talk to wrestlers, get them. And then, wrestlers would see that I was doing it, so they would come and want me to be a part of this thing they were doing or that thing that they were doing. And eventually it just keeps rolling. And I started working with like whatever local independent promotions I could find, doing, just for the love of the game, just to be a part of the show and to take in as much as I could possibly take in. And then I started kind of talking about wrestling more. And then I started doing the podcast, which was like 11 years ago or so at this point.
Wow.
Yeah.
11 years. Wow.
And then, eventually, and
so I got to interrupt you here.
Yeah.
John and so Bruce Pritchard didn't invent the wrestling podcast?
No.
Yeah. Liar.
Liar. Bruce is a liar. Damn, what, Bruce?
No, Bruce did not invent that.
Okay, thank you. We got that on record now, John.
I don't know. That's groundbreaking news. That's almost sacrilegious.
But then, as I was doing more stuff in broadcasting and doing my own thing on the radio, that was kind of developing at the same time this wrestling stuff was developing. And I had really forged a pretty good relationship with a lot of people at WWE, and become friends with a whole bunch of people, and was just from being around all the time. I remember being at the Mama Juana launch party in New York City, just wherever somebody
you were that guy. You were that guy.
It was a good time. And then
I ended up in Page 6 because of it.
What they say? In Page 6?
I was going to hire some young ladies, to be the waitresses for the party, and I was having a hard time working with this modeling agency, and so I was walking by Scores on the way home, and my wife says, "Why don't you stop up at Scores and talk to Chuck Cito and see if you can just get some girls from there to work the party?" And I said, "Okay, that'd be great. That's a great idea. That we don't have to deal with the modeling agencies and all that stuff."
You got a fantastic wife, John.
Yes. So I stop up on a Wednesday night before the party at Scores, and I said, "Hey, it's Chuck here." I said, "Tell him I'd like to talk to him, please." So Chuck's there. I say, "Hey, could I get a couple girls to work for the party?" He goes, "Yeah, just tell me what you need and all that stuff." He goes, "You want to come in?" I go, "Nah, we're on the way home." And anyway, we leave and go home. The next day on Page 6, it said JBL shows up to Scores with his gal pal. Yeah. So I called my wife and I said, "Hey, have you seen Page 6?" And she says, "Yeah, thank God they think you're screwing around that I didn't go with you." Yeah, it was my wife.
That's great.
Yeah, so I was on Page 6 because of that party.
Well, there you go. And it was a success.
That's right. That's right.
So then, I ended up having this relationship with WWE. I started popping up when the network launched and they were doing all those talking head shows. They started using me for talking head shows. And then eventually one day, probably 9 years ago or so, Michael Cole called, and I already had known Michael Cole for a long time.
Syracuse.
Yeah, from the wrestling team at Syracuse.
No.
And yeah, he asked me if I wanted to do one of the pre-shows. It was just, "Hey, you want to come in and do a pre-show?" Well, I said, "Yeah, hell yeah, I want to come in and do a pre-show." So I went and did that. And I mean, like everything else in life, once they let me in the door, it's going to be real tough to get me out.
Now you're in the door. Did you call Dad and say, "Dad, do you remember when I was dressed up in gold dust? This is what."
Yeah. It was all worth it.
And say, "Dad, I'm here. I'm now dressed as Mae Young."
And I'm having a baby on TV.
That's right.
Yeah.
So when did you leave Opie Anthony and decide to do all your own stuff?
Well, so Opie and Anthony was self-destructed. Anthony was gone, and I was already kind of figuring out okay, I've done what I can do here. And then, in probably 20, maybe 14-ish, I started, I had always, the goal was always to do my own stuff. And the whole time I was with them, I was also doing whatever I could independently. So I would do, if there was a Saturday night midnight shift that I could get on and do a show, I would get on and do, at one point it was one Saturday a month at midnight. And I was like, okay, I'll do my show one Saturday a month at midnight. And I got on and got to do a show, and it was the greatest thing in the world. And then eventually it was okay, how about, try at 9 p.m. Okay, you go back to midnight, but you can have every week. okay, you can, and it was just like, going through for years doing stuff that way. And it was great. And then eventually it was like, okay, the company Sirius was behind it. And they were like, yeah, we want to give this a real, at least test. We want to see if there's something here. And so I left that show, and then on the channel was able to start doing a late night show. So from like 9 to midnight every night, it was just me and a couple of guys, and we'd get whatever really weird guests that we could find from 9 to midnight in New York, and whatever, and just kind of developed this little world that was the best thing ever. And after a year and change of doing that, Sirius was looking to do a show with Jim Norton, and Jim wanted to co-host, and Jim called me and said, I know you're doing your own thing, but I'm going to start doing my thing over here, and wanted to know if you wanted to try to do something together. And I was like, yeah, Jim, of course I would do a show with you. And so Jim and I ended up doing the morning show for 8 years. And then, and that lasted until December of last year. And then this year, that kind of format of what was that overnight show, 8 or 9 years ago, is now my morning show, Sam Roberts Show.
And the Sam Roberts Show, how much of it's wrestling?
None. So now I do 2 shows because Busted Open did so well at Sirius XM that they flushed the whole thing out into its own channel. So after I'm already doing the morning show, this was in July of this year, they came to me and said, Sam, we'd love for you to do a wrestling show on this channel. And I said, okay, I don't want to drop my podcast. They said, no, don't drop anything. Like we would like for you to do this wrestling show if you can make it work in addition to what you're already doing. I said, that sounds great. I would love to do that. So now every day, Monday through Thursday, I go into Sirius and I do my morning show from 8 to 11, which is just a talk show. Like today we had Benny Safdie, who is the writer-director of The Smashing Machine. We had him as a guest on, and we talk about whatever new. I mean, it's a very loose, fun, easy, comedy-based, topical show. And I do that from 8 to 11, and then from 12 to 2, I go live and do a wrestling show on Busted Open's channel, which is Pro Wrestling Nation. So I do the mainstream stuff in the morning, and then middays I do the wrestling stuff.
Isn't 5 hours a lot?
It's a lot. It's a lot. But I'm going to tell you right now. I'm going to tell you right now. If you get me in a debate, I'm going to be able to talk.
Yeah, man.
No shit. Seriously, I used to, when Fox was really combative, I did a lot of Fox financial stuff.
Yeah.
And there were always guys, come on, and they love the combat and stuff, and some guys want to come on and talk. And literally, I would just Google a guy a little bit. And if they had a radio background, you treated them different.
Right.
You knew they could talk. And if they didn't, I'd go in with absolutely zero fear. Dude, you're unarmed. You don't realize that, but you are absolutely unarmed.
Yeah. No, that's right. And and it was like a big, it was a test, because you're right. 5 hours a day. And
that's a lot.
And it's talk. It's not music. It's not like, okay, we'll jump on here it's 5 hours a day of talk with limited commercials. Not like, in regular radio, you have nice big 15-minute commercial breaks, but that's not the case on satellite radio.
You come home and your wife says, hey, what are you doing? Like, I don't want to talk.
The last thing I want to do is talk right now. Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of people don't understand that either.
No, they don't. But like, if you want to know what I'm doing, you're going to have to just listen to the show. I can't talk anymore.
So all this talk about wrestling that's out there, I mean, this seems crazy to me. But it keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Talk about wrestling.
Yeah.
I have no idea how to predict if it's a bubble. Is it not a bubble? Is it at a top? Is it going to get bigger? What are your thoughts on wrestling right now as far as how big it is right now? And is it a top as far as the top of a cycle? Or is there a lot more coming? Because every time they turn around, they add something new that's bigger.
Yeah. I don't think it's a top, because I think that the difference now that we haven't seen before, especially with WWE, is that the people running it are the people that run these massive, networks. The people that are running it are the people that have been there with ESPN and the people and the UFC people and the people that like understand scaling this and appealing it to the widest audience imaginable. And I think that what they've effectively done is not only made it bigger and bigger, but I mean, I'm telling you that I have interacted with more new wrestling fans in the last 2 or 3 years than in my entire life. Like for a very long period of time, it was you've either watched wrestling for 20 years or you don't watch wrestling. That's just what had happened to wrestling. And luckily, there were a lot of us that have been watching for 20 years, but like you just weren't seeing new passionate fans. And I think that that's not the case anymore, but I think that that's because, the people that are running the business are the people that are looking at the NFL and that are looking at, Live Nation and that are looking at, like I said, UFC and ESPN and all these like really massive media deals. And I think that they've effectively begun to get wrestling as an industry with the WWE as the centerpiece, but I think it will run off affect all wrestling, where you get it out of this space where for a long time wrestling has been this kind of redheaded stepchild of sports and of entertainment, where it's like, we don't really do that wrestling stuff. And I think that within the industry, within the entertainment industry, is what is starting to be stripped away. And I think it's not just the people running it, but it's also seeing the movie stars that The Rock and Batista and John Cena have become, where everybody's going, oh, there's real mainstream money and appeal here. And I think that's the thing that is making wrestling bigger and bigger and bigger. And I don't see it. I mean, is it gonna like stay at a peak forever? Of course not. But I see it as it's gotten so big now that even if it were to scale back, it would still be much bigger than it was before.
We've been saying about since 2000, how much bigger can it get? And it gets bigger every
That's right.
year.
That's right. That's
But is it a fact of like what you're saying, which I don't doubt, and I think you're correct, but is it also like at the turn of the 1900th century when Mr. Briscoe, was wrestling in 1901 and
Me and
1902?
Abe Lincoln.
Yeah, you had some guys that were the richest people the world had ever seen, except for some ancient kings of old kingdoms. But you had J.P. Morgan, you had Carnegie, you had Rockefeller. That was wealth that people had never seen. But basically, it was part of the country that was pretty much the Mississippi East. It was all it really was, because the other part was not developed. Now you're seeing guys like Musk and Bezos, wealth that blows these guys away, because now it's not just part of the country, it's the entire globe. The globe is your village, because now you're making money. Is that what it is in wrestling? Whereas before, say in the 80s and 90s, there was a finite amount of audience as far as what it was. Still a finite amount, but it's much, much, much bigger. Now it's a true global audience.
I would have,
Does that
yes.
explain some of it as well?
I think 100%. And I think part of it too is that, like, look, when I do my podcast, I do an email segment at the end of the show. And it's like, there are so many emails that I'm getting from, I mean, the fact that like WWE can run in Riyadh, and then I check my email when I'm doing my podcast, and I have emails from local people that were at the show in Riyadh listening to this wrestling podcast that I'm doing in my basement, in wherever it is, Australia, all over Europe, and it's all, they've always said in wrestling that the thing that makes wrestling, one of the things that makes wrestling great, is that the stories have that global appeal because they're the same in every language. And I think that you're right about, the Bezoses and the Musks and all these people that have pushed forward the idea of kind of erasing those giant walls where this is big here, but we don't even know what's going on over there. Like, global communication is at an all-time high. And I also think the fact that, like, not only that you have all of these people around the globe collectively watching at the same time, that WWE is running shows and pay-per-views in places where they did not ever run pay-per-views, and they've figured out a delivery mechanism where they can run it live.
Right.
There was no way when it was a pay-per-view model, you're not running a pay-per-view Saturday at 8 o'clock in the morning because nobody's paying for a pay-per-view Saturday at 8 o'clock in the morning. But when it's streaming, when you've already got that money, and it's like, okay, we can just turn on the stream live.
Yeah.
Raw can be on at 8 o'clock in the morning. It doesn't matter. It'll be on all day. If you want to watch it later, stream it later. But we can broadcast this piece of content live for everybody to see it at the exact same time. So this experience. So when there's a massive angle to end the show, like, the Vision turning on Seth Rollins, everybody who wants to can be on the same page, whether it's 10 o'clock in the morning in the States or 10 p.m. in Australia or whatever time it is. That sort of globalization has taken effect, and the fandom becomes, and you're right about the audience, like, increasing. I mean, by massive numbers.
Before, we were always bound by a North American time slot,
Right.
because we had to sell pay-per-views.
Right.
And most of your pay-per-views were coming from North America, a lot from the UK, a few from, Asia, specifically Japan, but most of it came from North America. So you had to have some type of North American time slot. So it was tough to do something somewhere else. Well, now when it's streaming, you're not bound by that restriction geographically.
That's right. That's right. And you can offer you can go to Australia and say, like, hey, if you guys would pay this much money to have a pay-per-view there, what if we could give you a SmackDown and a pay-per-view and a Raw?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And now you got
It's
three big
it's
shows.
crazy.
Yeah,
it's nuts.
And Netflix.
Then if you start throwing in UFC with it, it's
right, exactly. And and if it were a cable company, they might go like, hey, whoa, we don't want taped shows, we want live shows. But if it's Netflix, they're going, put it out whatever time you want.
Right.
And so you're able to do these massive, massive deals.
Yeah. Whereas, we were always, we always try to find X from whatever country we wanted to debut. Like we always wanted to find somebody was really big in the UK. We always had somebody, Davey Boy or somebody that was always, big in the UK. We always tried to find the Indians. So we always thought India was the big deal. Now it's, we don't have to find, it's not as predicated. You need a local talent, but it's not as predicated because now the show can go anywhere you want it to. At any time.
The only way you need a local talent is to draw locally. You don't need it to draw globally.
That's right.
That's right. Yeah. I mean, Roman Reigns is Roman Reigns wherever he is in the world, and CM Punk and Rollins and Cody Rhodes, like they're global stars. So nobody.
We used to run. The thing was, that's what people don't realize. Mr. Brisco knows this better than anybody. We used to run tier 2 and tier 3 towns just to support our TV. We would run, X, we'd run all these little big towns all over the country because we were supporting our TV that was on different cable affiliates somewhere. Right. Now you don't have to do that. Now the reason, part of the reason for live events was to support TV product that was in those arenas.
Yeah. So you weren't making money off the event, but you were going to make money over
go to
here
Wichita, Kansas, because I remember I was the one that went to Wichita that when they opened up the SmackDown there, the TV show there, and went there and did a whole media day for it. And we ran Wichita, and that was one of the 150 towns around the country that we would run to support our television product.
Right. Yeah, and that's totally changed.
And now it just seems like there's an opportunity there, Sam, and I think you would know this better than me and Mr. Brisco. For everything else, as Dabo would say, Roy, the rest of y'all, because your WWE's not running live events, very many, other than their TV product, because they're making so much money. So there's a huge void there.
I would agree with that. I mean, even going back to White Plains, like the first show that I took my son to was a White Plains show, because that's a great place to just bring a kid, and but like those shows don't really happen right now. It's either a TV in a big arena or a PLE in a giant arena or nothing. And so I think that is right. Like a touring act, I think would fill that void that isn't being filled right now.
Yeah, because you have all these towns that still love wrestling.
That's right.
That are not able to get it.
Right. And if you tell them, I mean, and it's still like, there are a lot of places that if you just put wrestling on the marquee, people are going to go, I'm going to go to the wrestling tonight.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Sam, I've been blown away by going to all these independents. For one, I'm blown away at the talent.
Mm-hmm.
It's unbelievable how good these young men and women are. It's unbelievable. We didn't have that back in the 90s and the early 90s and late 80s. Not that many people were trained. So all the independents, there was a huge drop off, in talent. Now you see these guys, these independent shows are just loaded with talent.
Yeah.
And also, they're all sold out.
It's crazy.
It's
crazy.
nuts. I mean,
Yeah.
they're selling out, decent sized venues. And
Right.
this is
Yeah.
incredible.
Yeah. I mean, TNA is not an independent, but they did 7,000 plus people over the weekend. And and GCW does numbers, and all these spots do numbers, and they're streaming too. They've got their own they've figured out a way to satiate that audience so that they can, if they're like a GCW that has figured out how to run shows across the country. Also,
They run a ton of shows. Brett Lauderdale does a great job.
A ton of shows, and if I'm sitting at home I was at home on a Saturday night on over the weekend, and I was like, well, the WWE pay-per-view was on in the morning, so I started there was a House of Glory show that was in Queens that was just streaming on the Triller app. So I was like, yeah, I'll watch a House of Glory show, and I'm streaming this indie, and it's great.
That's just a question I got. I see the Slammy there in front of you. So Russ, tell us a little bit about your Slammy. But a question I got before: does your son realize that your voice of Grand Theft Auto and a couple of other things, and how did those come about? Was it from your wrestling or from your podcasting?
The video game stuff was from the radio, and no, my son's way too young. My son's 8 now, so I would never let him go anywhere near a Grand Theft Auto game.
Does he know that you're the voice of Grand Theft Videotape?
So, boy, one day when he's 18, Johnny will wake up, there's my dad.
We had Bo James on here. Bo's a good dude, from Eastern Tennessee. I love Bo. We're talking about moonshine and stuff. He goes, appreciate you guys alerting the feds to what my family does.
Yeah.
And I just did it, and we just did it again. So
yeah, I didn't know you guys were a bunch of rats. But he does but my son does like wrestling, so so that's fun.
Does he have any questions? I mean, what's your parent tell a 8-year-old about wrestling?
Well, I mean, I just put it on for him and let him take it in. And I'll never tell him what's going on, but I'll use words like, that's the story. And, well, he's doing that. You know what I mean? Like little words that when he gets a little older, he can kind of put the pieces together. But I'm not going to sit there and, I mean, the idea of quote unquote smartening up an 8-year-old is you'd have
way
to be a sociopath.
Yeah. So
tell
us
Sam,
about
what is next for you? I mean, you're working 5 hours a day. Is there something else that you're working toward, or something else you're building,
I mean,
obviously you're doing enough.
I mean, I appreciate that. I'm also, I mean, all that time isn't even factored into everything I'm doing with WWE. And so we're doing we do the Raw recap podcast. So every Monday I go up to Stanford to watch Raw, and then Megan Morant and I record the recap podcast that they put up on WWE's YouTube and put it up on podcast feeds and everything. And then we go all the domestic PLEs we go to and do some stuff on the Countdown show and do some podcasting after and do all that.
So you're like Pat McAfee and Michael Strahan.
That's right.
Flying all over the world.
Everywhere.
That's right.
Like Sputnik Monroe used to say, I'm like Coca-Cola kid, I'm everywhere.
That's right.
Roberts is everywhere.
That's right. And you don't figure it out until after it's too late. You know what I mean? Like once I'm already everywhere. So you can't.
So like when you get done with the Raw recap, you go, oh, that was great, man. Thanks everybody for having a good night. And you're going, oh shit, I got to be on the radio in 6 hours.
That's every single Monday. Yes. I get home. I can't. But then, it all, and also, I mean, it's kind of impossible to feel like, oh, I'm doing too much. I can't, but when you're looking around and going this is what you wanted. This is it. This is everything. You did it. Gerald Brisco is texting to say, hey, would you do the podcast? Yeah, this is it. This is literally, and anybody that loses sight of that part of it has completely lost the plot,
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Now, when you were back doing the DJing at Syracuse University, and Michael Cohen, Brian Gewirth were your two fans there. Did you ever think that Sam Roberts would be where he's at in professional wrestling business?
No, I mean, no, I mean, I didn't think. Luckily, I didn't think too deeply into it. I kind of have always been of the like, let's set a goal for this year, let's set a goal for next year, but not sort of these big
Long
picture
range.
things. But no, I mean, what's really rewarding and what I could not have fathomed in a million years is the idea that like I get to work with all these companies, but I'm just being myself. You know what I mean? Like I don't have to go in and fit the suit and tie and be this guy for this place and that guy for that place and audition for this. It's like Sam is Sam, and either you want Sam or you don't want Sam, and there's plenty of people on both ends. So you know,
Sam is Sam unless he's not Sam.
that's right.
Yeah.
That's exactly
There
right.
you go.
That's right. If you don't want Sam, that's fine. Not Sam is
Not Sam's right here.
Yeah, yeah,
Do
that's
this
right.
too.
That's right.
So Peter Rosenberg has a 24/7 title. You have the Slammy.
So this Slammy is actually so this year at the Slammy Awards, they had Megan, my co-host from the Raw Recap podcast, and myself present a Slammy to John Cena. It might have been the OMG moment of the year or whatever it was. And John Cena was not there to accept it. So even though it wasn't in the script, it wasn't on the prompter, I said, we'll accept this award on his behalf. And we left. And then they started getting the Slammies at the headquarters. And I said to the guy that was getting all the Slammies, I was like, I said on stage I was accepting on John's behalf. And he was like, yeah, I guess you did say that. And I was like, well, so
Yeah.
I should have John's Slammy. And if John Cena wants his Slammy, it's perfectly here, but it'll just be in my studio. So you can come over anytime. You can have it.
Good.
I'm not trying to keep it, but maybe you do a podcast while you're here. But and then and at WWE, they looked at me and they were like, you know what? I guess you should have John Cena's Slammy. So I brought the Slammy home. So if at any point, if John Cena wants his OMG moment Slammy award, I have it here. He can come to my studio, and while he's here, maybe do a podcast.
I believe I stole Shawn Michaels' Slammy when I was, the storyline wise, I was his boss.
Yeah.
And then at the next pay-per-view, he and his whole family either super kicked me or punched me. His wife punched me. I think even his kids punched me. I got super kicked by the entire Michaels family. But I should have that Slammy somewhere, and I don't know where it is now that I realize you have John Cena's.
Yes.
You got to open up the tomb behind you there. A Terracotta Warrior is probably buried in there.
That's right. It may be in my Terracotta Warrior. This is my Mayan calendar. This is how I keep up with Mr. Briscoe's birthday.
Only once every 4 years, though.
That's right. Well, Sam, thank you very much for joining us. I appreciate it.
No. The pleasure
Anything
is all
you want
mine.
to push or anything you do, or not that anybody watches our show. I'm not sure anybody does, but if they did,
If they did, yeah.
Yes,
they can find you or not Sam somewhere.
if one were to watch, you could also watch me. I do Not Sam Wrestling. If you just search Not Sam Wrestling on any podcast feed, or you search Not Sam Wrestling on YouTube, you'll find the channel, you'll find the podcast. Hit subscribe. That'll be how you get in the door, and hopefully you'll enjoy it.
And you're a lot better than Peter Rosenberg.
I was thinking that. I didn't want to say it.
Right.
But I'm glad that
We
you
just
did.
got to
I
get
was-
it out there. We just got to put it out there that Sam Roberts is just head and shoulders better.
By the way, did you see that after he, who was it that he killed again?
Oh yeah, he killed Thunderbolt.
Okay, wait.
Did you know that, Mr. Briscoe?
No.
Oh, say and Mr. Briscoe was Thunderbolt's old tag team partner.
Oh,
Sam,
God.
please tell Mr. Briscoe
Mr.
about
Briscoe
Peter Rosenberg killing Thunderbolt.
Not Peter. No, Peter.
at the Hall of Fame,
Yes.
which is the greatest honor somebody could achieve at the end of an amazing career. Peter Rosenberg referred to Thunderbolt Patterson as the late Thunderbolt Patterson.
Yeah, he did. And he was in the building, Jerry.
He was right there.
You're sitting right next to us, John.
He was right there. And then wait to hear this new one. I don't remember if I reached out to you about this or not, because I think it was on a Saturday Night's Main Event or something like that. I think he was interviewing CM Punk or something. And he said to CM Punk, do you think Coco Beware will get in the Hall of Fame one day?
No.
And CM Punk says, isn't Coco Beware in the Hall of Fame? And Peter Rosenberg said, no, he isn't. Coco Beware is absolutely in the WWE Hall of Fame. Yes,
I just saw Coco.
Yes. So Peter
Coco
Rosenberg
is gonna
killed
beat
Thunderbolt
Peter up.
Patterson, and he kicked Coco Beware out of the Hall of Fame.
Hey, we're gonna fly Coco in and let Coco deal with Peter.
Yes.
You cannot do that to the Birdman.
No, you can't. You can't.
He brought us so much happiness,
so much joy, flapping those wings. I mean,
and he's still a good guy. Every time I see him, he hugs me. He's just a nice man.
He's a good guy. He's a good.
Coco is a good guy.
Well, Rosenberg thinks he should return the ring.
Oh, come on.
Rosenberg's terrible. He killed Thunderbolt.
Yeah.
He killed Thunderbolt.
Coco out
I just talked to Thunderbolt too. I didn't know I talked to a ghost.
That's right. Thunderbolt may beat up Peter.
He should.
Yeah.
He should. But that's right.
Well, Sam, thank you so much. And then I'm gonna shout out my son here. My son Joseph Chatham Briscoe, that just got licensed architect. So we're in my family now. So if you need anything built, designed, or anything like that, call my son at his firm there. But he befriended Sam there, not Sam up in Philly. We're at Wally Mania, I believe, and I finally got to meet you up there, and we hung out and had a great time. But Jones once said, "Dad, you need Sam on your podcast." So
that's amazing. He's the best. He hits it. We talk all the time because he listens to the radio show every morning. So we end up messaging
every morning driving to work. Man.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Well, Sam, thank you.
Thank you, man.